In Norfolk, Virginia today, some 10,000 people marched through the streets protesting a proposed end to busing in that city's school system. The city is suggesting a system of neighborhood schools instead. Among the speakers to the group was the Reverend Jesse Jackson, who called for more registration of black voters as one way of changing city policies.
For the first time ever, the Reagan administration argued in court today that in principle, almost any school district in the nation should be allowed to abolish court-ordered busing programs designed to desegregate schools, even if scrapping busing would increase segregation of schools in practice. Entering a Norfolk, Virginia case, Justice Department Civil Rights Division Chief William Bradford Reynolds said local schools should be allowed to operate under any system that doesn't have the purpose of discriminating. In the Norfolk case, said Reynolds, the purpose was to end white flight and increase parental involvement in local schools. Reynolds added the same principle could be applied to, quote, many other school districts. An opposing lawyer, Henry Marsh III, said, quote, to think the United States government would openly support the return of racial segregation in 1984 is shocking, end quote. Racial discrimination has been reduced in the United States. It is far from being eliminated. That's an unpleasant fact, but it is a fact. Busing, ordered by some courts as a last resort to reduce school segregation, grew out of that fact. The hope was busing would help provide at least a little more equal opportunity in education. Now, in some cities, busing is being rolled back. Norfolk, Virginia is one of them. Bruce Morton has been there.
Norfolk's children have ridden buses so as to integrate their schools for 14 years. But unless things change next fall for kindergarten through 5th grade kids, the busing will stop. That decision sparked protest, old songs, old rhetoric.
We must not go back. Let justice roll down like waters, and righteousness like a mighty stream.
All in favor, please so signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
The school board said it wanted to end busing in an attempt to keep middle-class families in Norfolk. Others had other reasons.
My children and grandchildren have been punished for what happened to blacks in the South 70, 80, 90, or 100 years ago. It is gross stupidity.
I worry about white rights.
Segregation is the issue.
It is not that simple. Under the new plan, roughly half the black students would be in virtually all black schools. But any child could ask to be bused to a majority white school. And the all-black schools will get special help, more teachers. Nelson and Erlene White have 5 children in the public schools. They, and a poll suggests maybe a third of the city's blacks, like the plan.
We are not constantly telling our children, you know, you have to be just like Tommy, who's a little white student. You can be yourself.
In 1954, blacks in the South didn't share in the power structure. That's not true in Norfolk today.
The school superintendent is black, so are half the teachers.
Blacks and poor whites, you live on the wrong side of town. It's not busing. It's the fact that you are part of the underclass.
At the heart of the busing arguments, there is disagreement over what kind of city Norfolk should be. Some worry busing, by driving out the middle class, was making it a poor city. School board chairman Thomas Johnson.
The busing was causing middle class, black and white, not to settle in Norfolk.
No question the economy of the city suffered because of busing.
What time the sun over?
But pro-busing leaders disagree. They see a pattern. All black schools next to all black public housing. Continued white economic and political control.
They're trying to preserve the political clout and power that has existed in Norfolk over the years.
Norfolk is only 35% black, but the figure is growing and blacks are becoming more sophisticated politically.
Chicken, he said. Chicken.
But the short-term question is the kids. Marsh has asked the Supreme Court to decide whether going back to neighborhood schools is constitutional.
These children have a right not to be segregated in schools because of their race.
No issue jangles American emotions more than busing. The Supreme Court may or may not decide to rule on this case, but whatever it does will affect the lives of these children in this city and perhaps other children in other cities nationwide. Bruce Morton, CBS News, Norfolk, Virginia.
The Reagan administration applauded today's U.S. Supreme Court decision refusing to put off Norfolk, Virginia's plans to end 15 years of busing. students had been bused in Norfolk and a lot of other cities trying, as a last-ditch effort, to end school segregation. In a case closely watched nationwide, the United States Supreme Court today refused to reinstate busing of students to ensure desegregation of elementary schools in Norfolk, Virginia. CBS News correspondent Eric Ingberg reports.
The decision by Norfolk, backed by the federal courts, to end 15 years of busing and bring back neighborhood schools won the tacit approval of the Supreme Court today. The lower courts gave Norfolk the okay to try the plan on the ground the city had achieved integrated schools. The justices, by declining to hear the case, let stand that lower court ruling, even if it means some schools in Norfolk will lose racial balance.
We think that we've now got elementary schools that can serve our children in the way that they can best be served, and so now we can get about the business of educating the children.
I felt very strongly in the very beginning that the school system should not be resegregated, and I still feel the same way.
While the High Court did not rule on the merits of the case, the Reagan administration, which supported the Norfolk plan, expressed hope the justices are signaling a willingness to see busing die once a school system can prove it has integrated.
The decision today should at least indicate that Norfolk is an experiment that might be worth following, might be worth considering elsewhere.
If school districts do attempt to resegregate, we're going to be there in court representing black parents who want to be represented, and we're going to fight them.
By remaining silent this time, the Supreme Court may encourage other public school systems to end busing. But the Norfolk plan would not apply everywhere. Before drawing up the plan, Norfolk officials succeeded in proving to the federal courts that they had made busing so successful that they didn't need it anymore. Eric Ingberg, CBS News, Washington.